Hi, and welcome to Route 66. We're day number 7, one full week into reading the Bible through. And so get your Bible out. If you've already read it, that's great. If you haven't read it, that's okay too. I want to explain to you the reading for the day, Genesis 21, 22, and 23. Some really, really good insights into Abraham and Sarah. Genesis chapter 21. Finally, Isaac is born. God fulfills his promise to Abraham and Sarah, and they have a son, and they name him Isaac, which his name means laughter. Despite their old age, Sarah rejoices, and Abraham laughed, Sarah laughed, and they laughed in doubt, but now they're laughing in pleasure of having a little child that's there. However, family life isn't all that it ought to be, because if you recall, when they were waiting on God to fulfill his promise, they had a son, Ishmael. And Sarah, because there's a little bit of animosity between the two, Sarah tells Abraham, send Hagar and Ishmael away. Abraham doesn't want to, but he does. And God reassures him, and he promises that Ishmael is going to be a great nation, and he is. His family, a lot of the Arabs, those people that are surrounding the nation of Israel, the Jews, that's where they came from. And God saves Hagar, his mother, and Ishmael from destitution. But God fulfills his promise. Genesis 22 is a pinnacle of the story of Abraham. After all that God has done and the promises that God has kept, God tests Abraham, asking him to sacrifice Isaac, his son. Abraham obeys, takes him there, and just at the last moment, God provides a ram for the sacrifice. This is such a beautiful picture of God actually sacrificing his son. If you recall, Abraham, when Isaac said, hey, where's the lamb? Isaac said, read it. God will provide himself a lamb. Shows Abraham's faith and his trust in God. And then in Genesis chapter 23, once Isaac is born, after a little bit, Sarah dies. And Abraham buys a field and a cave so that he can bury her there. And it's the only piece of land that Abraham has owned in the promised land. And it is fulfilling what God has promised. God promised him descendants. God gave him Isaac. God promised him land, and he purchased that land to bury his wife. Now, some promises or some lessons. Number one, God keeps his promise. Even though it seemed like God was way late, Abraham was old, Sarah was old, it's too late for God to fulfill his promise. God always keeps his promises. You can count on him. Now, there's another lesson, and that is the faith and obedience of Abraham. Abraham was willing to sacrifice his son Isaac, and it shows great faith and trust and obedience. Sometimes God asks us to trust him even when we don't understand why. Another, God provides. God provided a ram in the place of Isaac. It also points that God provided Jesus to die in our place. God always provides our needs. We can rely on him to help us when life is difficult. And that last chapter, chapter 23, I think a good lesson that we can learn, respect and honor. Abraham loved his wife, and he honored and respected her and buried her, secured a place for her and himself later and his family. And it's important for us to honor and respect those that we love. Great stories. It's a great read today. So hopefully you have a good day reading these stories from the Bible and see if you can find some lessons of your own. God bless you as you spend time.